Okie dokie, people. So, ready to die too? Here I come. This is the brand new film from the Radio Silence crew, Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett. So they co-wrote the film as well with Guy Busick and R. Christopher Murray. The film is produced by Trip Vinson, James Vanderbilt, William Chirac. Who else do we have? Bradley J. Fleischer. It is executive produced by Greg Denny, Tara Farney, Paul Neinstein, Chad Vielia, as well as R. Christopher Murray and Guy Busick, along with Samara Weaving. We have got Richard Rise as VP of production, and there is Cornelia Burley as a creative executive. So, and Bryant McKeon is associate producer on the joint. Okay, so Sven Fulkner handled the score. We've got cinematography from Brett Jakowicz. Jay Prishidini edits the piece. John Buchan and Jason Knight were behind all the casting. We've got Andrew M. Stern on production design, Colin Woods on art direction, Rebecca Elliott is the set decorator, and Avery Plews is costumes wardrobe. Molly Addy, Indiana Alamang, Daniel Baker, Audrey Barrett, Alessandra Bastononi, Tony Chappelle, Jeff Darushi, Sherry Lan Fortune, Carly Morse, Sasha Pollock, Colin Penman, Piper Penman, Ryan Reed, and Jacqueline Robertson Cole were on hair and makeup. And we've got Neil Adams, Alex Arbroster, Jason Lee Bell, Marco Bianco, Kirpa Budwal, Sebastian Butrago, Andrea M. Siaki, Christine Cleary, Bryson Cook, Mimi Cote, Daniel Cudmore, Jocelyn Farrow, Stephanie Fonseca, Derek Franklin, Naomi Frenette, Stephanie Hawkins, Jamie Hegland, Blair Johannes, Joe Labelle, Orphy Laducour Nwang, Julian Lewis, Thomas Labor, Jack Labou, Charles Mark, Simon Northwood, Hannah Oliveros, Melanie Fan, Dylan Rampula, Jackson Rosario, Anna Shepherd, Dan Skeen, Brittany Spireri, Mitch Spure, Cara Wooten, and Teresa Young on our stunts, right? So, Samara Weaving is back as Grace Domas, right? We're introduced to her sister in this one, Faith McCullery. right? Estranged sister, obviously, right? We've got Chester Danforth, Chester Danforth is played by David Cronenberg, right? His son Titus is played by Shawn Hatosy, and his daughter Ursula is played by Sarah Michelle Gellar. We then have got Néstor Carbonell playing Ignacio El Chado. His daughter Francesca is played by Maia Jae, and his son Felipe is played by Juan Pablo Romero. There is also Verja Rajan, played by Nadeem Umar-Khitab. His brother Madha Rajan, played by Varun Saranga, and Madhu's wife Martina is played by Masa Lizdek. We have got, there's another Danforth, Kip, who's played by Dan Beirne. Right, we've also got Wan Shongjing, played by Olivia Cheng, and her brother Wang Chongfu, played by Antony Hall. There's Bill Wilkinson, played by Kevin Durand, and Elijah Wood is the lawyer. So yes, I think that's most, like, the important members of our cast, I would say. Yes. Pernilla is played by Cara Wooten. Detective Bassett is played by Grant Nichols. The EMTs are played by Cristel Fernandez and Nathan Lamb. Nurse Amy is played by Diana Pino. Another nurse played by Sandy Lynch. The receptionist played by Tiffany Daru. The bride and groom, so we got Emily Stranges and Jonathan Mason. The minister is played by Dave Ross. The butlers are played by Kevin Enrique and Sarah Hiller. So the gist, right? After surviving one deadly game, Grace and her sister Faith must now outrun four rival families competing for a powerful throne. Winner takes all. So this, the first film, 2019, which, I think I saw it a time after the fact, though. Right? That's why it just seems like, that wasn't that long ago, was it? But it was surprisingly decent. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, this is all right. Definitely could be worse. I think with something like this, it's not necessarily an original idea, but I thought, the first film handled it pretty well. But you're kind of like, well, that's it. So when I heard that there was a sequel, I was just a bit like, what the fuck are they gonna do? Right? I kind of thought that maybe there was gonna be a situation where there's a clause that she doesn't know about, so to get out of it, she has to do it, right? Or she picked up the box and now she's stuck with it. I thought something like that, but they don't do that. They introduce this kind of legacy, this mythology, playing into Labao and everything, which is all well and good, right? But you do feel it would have been mentioned in the first film, right? Because when you've got one of the old women, like the gran, and she was like, we have to kill her, otherwise the curtain, blah, blah, blah. And he'd be like, we will, you definitely would feel she's like, we will not be relinquishing power to one of those other fucking families, right? Something like that, right? But okay, so it wasn't. But we have this new situation. So you're like, okay, right? We see suddenly everyone is kind of, it's one of them things of we are quickly introduced to all of these families by, wait, what's happening? Crying, call them in, right? And it's one of them ones, which is fine. But every family is kind of a stereotype, a caricature, They do feel a bit like, oh, if we just make these ones loud, right? These ones flashy, these ones, then you don't have to really do a lot of character development because everything is pretty paper thin here. Now, I think also you're kind of going, because I think the first film was a surprise hit, right? And I think a lot of the times when those things happen, they go, oh, what did everyone love in the first one? And they're like, oh, we'll just double it, right? We'll do even more of that. So we get exploding people now, more exploding people, right? The first one, it was just at the end, and now it's like all the way through. We got all of these things. We've got, let's make the game kind of bigger, and we can make it so it kind of gets stretched out a bit more. So they're doing all of this, and it's just like, let's add a sister. I do not, as I said, it's been a minute since I've seen the first film, so yeah, but I can't remember. I do not recall the sister being mentioned in the first film, But you bring in this sister, and then they just do the thing of estranged. They fell out, right? So all the way through, you just have them bickering, and it is extremely tiresome. Right, especially when you're in a situation where if you fuck up, if you don't work together, you are dead. You kind of feel, there's no bickering now, right? And it's just, so it just gets stupid. I feel it's very lazy when we go down this route. It's just like, create something. I mean, there can be so many other reasons why maybe they're a little like hesitant or something, or but it doesn't have to be this. And especially for so long, it's as irritating. It's the equivalent of in the X-Files, and you've got Scully, into, I don't know, I forget, man, but let's say into season 5 going, I still don't believe, and you're just like, yo, you have seen so much, shut up with your nonsense. You know what I mean? Like, you can't explain all of this. You know what I mean? So it gets to that. I think it's meant to be like a comedy horror, so the comedy aspect feels super forced, right? They've got Grace. She's been fucked up, handcuffed, gagged. They take the gag out, and she's like, got a cigarette. And you're just like, oh, god damn. Let's just not. Right? So, we have that, and they these people are trying to kill them, but then you get moments where they're hesitant to do anything, and you're just like, they're trying to kill you. They've just been trying to kill you. What are we doing? You know what I mean? So you get that, and then the next minute they're like going after each other. There's this weird thing with pepper spray, right? If you spray pepper spray and you are close to someone, you're going to get backsplash, essentially, right? You are going to get caught up in the, the fog, the haze of the spray. So she's up on someone, spray, and there's nothing. And you're just like, oh, man. And that whole pepper spray situation is dumb, right? It is just stupid, right? We do the other thing of a guy beating the living fuck out of a girl, but she still manages to be able to get up and go. And you're just like, yo. After that beating, you're on the floor, right? Like, after that kind of beating, most people are on the floor, right? Man or woman, you know what I mean? It's not like he gets kicked in the nuts, recovers mad quick, right? You ain't recovering that far because he's running, right? You ain't doing that. After kicking the nuts, you definitely are not doing that nonsense. You know what I mean? Listen, the film felt frustrating. It felt like a pale, comparison to the first film. But I guess if you were down with like the Final Destinations and all of that, it could well work for you, right? You could find it fun. I don't think it's necessarily any worse than the last Final Destination, or Five Nights at Freddy 2, or, just all of these kind of weak slashers that we've had of late. So I think it will work for those people, possibly. But, we've had better. Like, and you just, by the end of it, it is kind of like, did we really need this? I don't know. The first one just worked and it was fine, right? We were just like, okay, cool. We're done. And it, like, maybe you could do a sequel, but it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly the same thing. Because it's Ready or Not, that can play into so many different things. It doesn't have to be this, right? So, yeah. Ready or Not 2, Here I Come is, it's out in the cinemas, people. Like, as I said, the characters are very one-dimensional, so there's not really a whole heap this cast can do. I'm not quite sure what kind of guidelines Samara Weaving was given, but it's just, she was less annoying in the first film. You know what I mean? Right? So, yeah. It is what it is, people. It's just, look, you can watch it if you want something where you don't have to think, right? Boom. It can work on that level, okay? So it's out in the cinema. If you fancy some sequel action, Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, it's there for you, all right? Enjoy.